All right. So this is it. The episode every real-time fan has been waiting for. When he tells us about his Trump meeting. I think it would have been better if it was an actual interview, or even better than that, on his podcast on Club Random. But we'll see what it was like. Let's go.
Start the clock.
Yeah, here we go.
Great to be here. Great to be back. We want to get to this shit, don't we?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, wow, things are strange at the White House. Our life now is dominated by tariffs. Vibe change, you know, and they're on, they're off, they're off, they're on.
Yeah, what's up with that?
This week, Trump, everybody gets them. Penguins, you fucking... I don't care if you just pay, you're going to pay tariffs. Be so excited about the tariffs are the greatest thing in the world, and then have to take back their what they said about that when he takes back the tariffs.
He took it back.
Thank you, best president ever, for ordering the tariffs and restoring America. He did what? These tariffs have got to go. I've always said that.
I wonder if Bill's going to talk about this, but he's also reversing his immigration policy by saying that some illegal immigrants won't get deported. People who work in farms, hospitality, certain industries, but he's slowly, retracting everything he said he was going to do. Typical. But you know what the cult's going to say.
The White House says 75 countries have already called up begging us to make a deal on the tariffs. And then somebody asked, who? What are the countries? And they said, can't talk. So the tariffs got taken back except for 10% on everybody, but China is up to 145%. We're in a trade war with China. If we continue doing this, they're going to take other countermeasures if we keep infringing on China's interests substantively. I don't know what those other countermeasures are, but I have a bad feeling they're going to either leak out of a lab.
Oh.
No, really, Trump signed an executive order this week. We're bringing back coal, not for energy, just blackface.
Oh, man.
The Trump administration mistakenly deports someone to El Salvador, which they did, someone who was not a gang member who was here illegally. The Supreme Court said, yeah, you got to get him back. And the Trump administration said, we can't. We can't? Really? We can get a guy back from space, but not El Salvador? We got to do it. Now the question becomes, who is going to go down there and sort through all these sweaty Latin men wearing nothing but T-shirts and boxers? And Lindsey Graham said, anything for my country. All right. Thank you. You sound like a great crowd. And now for what you've all been waiting for. I'd like to give you my book report on my visit to the White House.
Yeah. My book report.
Okay. As you know, 12 days ago, I had dinner with President Trump, a dinner that was set up by my friend Kid Rock, because we share a belief that there's got to be something better than hurling insults from 3,000 miles away. And let me first say that to all the people who treated this like it was some kind of summit meeting, you're ridiculous. Like I was going to sign a treaty or something. I have no power. I'm a fucking comedian, and he's the most powerful leader in the world. I'm not the leader of anything, except maybe a contingent of centrist-minded people who think there's got to be a better way of running this country than hating each other every minute.
Amen to that.
Thank you. So meet up in person. Maybe it'll be different. Spoiler alert, it was. First good sign, before I left for the Capitol, I had my staff collect and print out this list of almost 60 different insulting epithets that the president has said about me. Things like stupid, dummy, lowlife dummy, sleazebag, sick, sad, stone cold crazy. Really a dumb guy, fired like a dog. His show is dead. I brought this to the White House because I wanted him to sign it, which he did.
In the front.
With good humor. And I know as I say that, millions of liberal sphincters just tightened. Oh my God, Bill, are you going to say something nice about him? What I'm going to do is report exactly what happened. You decide what you think about it. And if that's not enough pure Trump hate for you, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
So no, I didn't go MAGA. And to the president's credit, there was no pressure to. After we left the Oval Office, he showed me the little room off the office, you know, the one where Clinton used to. Okay. The blowjob room. Okay. Well, not anymore. That's where they keep the merch now.
Really?
It is.
My God.
And he gave me a bunch of hats, but he didn't ask me to take a picture in one, which I appreciated. The guy I met is not the person who the night before the dinner shit-tweeted a bunch of nasty crap about how he thought this dinner was a bad idea and what a deranged asshole I was. I read it and thought, oh, what a lovely way to welcome someone to your house.
Wow.
But when I got there, that guy wasn't living there. Just for starters, he laughs. I'd never seen him laugh in public, but he does, including at himself. And it's not fake. Believe me, as a comedian of 40 years, I know a fake laugh when I hear it. No. Okay. Example, in the Oval Office, he was showing me the portraits of presidents, and he pointed to Reagan and said, in all seriousness, you know the best thing about him? His hair. I said, well, there was also that whole bringing down communism thing.
Yeah.
Waiting for the button next to the Diet Coke button to get pushed and I go through the trap door.
And amnesty that Latinos love him for.
But no, he laughed, he got it. I said to him at one point, Mr. President, you know the dog, that's unusual in the White House. He said, well, a lot of the presidents, they had a dog for political reasons. I said, no. People love dogs. That's what that is. Oh, yeah. Okay, that's true. I'm telling you what happened. At one point, we were walking through his amazing, it is an amazing tour of the whole house. And I don't remember exactly what we were talking about, but it must have been something with the 2020 election, because I know he used the word lost. And I distinctly remember saying, wow, I never thought I'd hear you say that. He didn't get mad. He's much more self-aware than he lets on in public.
Yep.
Look, I get it. It doesn't matter who he is at a private dinner with a comedian. It matters who he is on the world stage. I'm just taking as a positive that this person exists. Because everything I've ever not liked about him was, I swear to God, absent, at least on this night with this guy. Bob, Kid Rock, told me the night before, he said, if you want to get a word in edgewise, you're going to have to cut him off. He'll just go on. Not at all. I've had so many conversations with prominent people who are much less connected, people who don't look you in the eye, people who don't really listen because they just want to get to their next thing.
Yeah.
People whose response to things you say just doesn't track, like, what? None of that with him. And he mostly steered the conversation to, what do you think about this? I know, your mind is blown, so's mine. There were so many moments when I hit him with a joke or contradicted something, and no problem. At dinner, he was asking me about the nuclear situation in Iran in a very genuine, hey, I think you're a smart guy, I want your opinion sort of way. And I said, well, obviously you're privy to things about it I'm not, but for what it's worth, I thought the Obama deal was worth letting play out. Because we made Iran destroy 98% of the uranium, and they were 15 years away from a bomb. And then I said to him, but we got rid of that. You got rid of that.
He did it.
He didn't get mad or call me a left-wing lunatic. He took it in. I told him I thought parts of his plan for Gaza were wacky, but that I had supported him in the idea that Gaza could be Dubai instead of hell. I told him he was wrong, and he tweeted the night before that I was critical of all things Trump. Not true. Check the tapes. Moving Israel's embassy to Jerusalem, loved it. The border did need to be controlled. I'm glad the cops are getting their morale back. DEI had gone too far.
Yeah.
Biological men shouldn't be playing women's sports.
Oh, yeah.
Europe should pay for their defense. And of course, it makes sense that Arab countries should take in Arab refugees, like the million Syrians who wound up in Germany. Saudi Arabia took none. He said to me, "You're right, they took none." I said, "Well, you should remind your boyfriend in Saudi Arabia that the next time you see him."
He really said that?
He laughed. I never felt I had to walk on eggshells around him. And honestly, I voted for Clinton and Obama, but I would never feel comfortable talking to them the way I was able to talk with Donald Trump. That's just how it went down. Make of it what you will. Me, I feel it's emblematic of why the Democrats are so unpopular these days.
Yeah.
He was even okay when I checked him on the orangutan
That's right.
lawsuit. No, he said to Dana White, "You know, Bill said my father was an orangutan, and I really love my father." And I said, "Well, Mr. President, I did that because I didn't like what you were doing regarding Obama's birth origin. I thought that was low." Again, no anger, just a little smile, as if to say, "Yeah, I get it." The most surreal part of the whole night was when I got home.
That little smile, I guarantee you was not, "I get it." He was thinking, "Go fuck yourself." That's what he was thinking.
And I'm in bed watching 60 Minutes from the night before. And there's Trump in one of their stories, standing at a podium in a room that looked to me like one of the rooms and places we'd just been in. And he's ranting, "Disgusting, you're a terrible person." And I'm like, who's that guy? What happened to Glinda the Good Witch?
Yeah.
And why can't we get the guy I met to be the public guy? And I'm not saying it's our responsibility to do that. It's not. I'm just reporting exactly what I saw over 2.5 hours. I went into the mine, and that's what's down there. A crazy person doesn't live in the White House. A person who plays a crazy person on TV a lot lives there, which I know is fucked up. It's just not as fucked up as I thought it was. And I have no illusions now that I'm back to work at my job that he might start a new list. Because I don't have a good feeling and will be critical about a lot of what he's doing. The trade war and disappearing people, ruling by decree, threatening judges, gutting the government with glee. But I also think he now understands I have a job to do, or at least he did on this night, because he said to me early on that he'd seen our last episode, which was the Friday before this dinner. And he said, "I thought maybe you'd be nice, but you hit me really hard." I did, because I'm not going to pull my punches that presidents get to propose a third term for themselves. He understood that, and without animus. That doesn't mean he's not going to try to do it. At one point, I said to him, "You're scaring people. Do you really want to be scaring your own citizens so much?" And I know now you're all saying, "And what did he say to that?" Honestly, I don't remember. But it wasn't, "Okay, I'll stop." So MAGA fans, don't worry. Your boy gave me nothing. Just hats. Hats and a very generous amount of time and a willingness to listen and accept me as a possible friend, even though I'm not MAGA, which was the point of the dinner. My favorite part of the whole night was we were standing in the blowjob room. And he said, "You know, I've heard from a lot of people who really like that we're having this dinner. Not all, but a lot." And I said, "Same. A lot of people told me they loved it, but not all." And we agreed. The people who don't even want us to talk, We don't like you. Don't talk? As opposed to what? Writing the same editorial for the millionth time and making 25-hour speeches into the wind? Really? That's what liberals have? He takes the piss out of everybody else and we can hold ours? Okay.
Oh, that's a good way of putting it.
You can hate me for it, but I'm not a liar. Trump was gracious and measured, and why he isn't that in other settings, I don't know, and I can't answer, and it's not my place to answer. I'm just telling you what I saw, and I wasn't high.
Yeah. Woo. Yes.
Damn, missed opportunity. We got a great show. Piers Morgan and Josh Rogin are here.
So here are my 2 little cents. You can fast forward this if you want. I'd like to know your opinion, but I think Trump maybe was being nice to him because of Kid Rock. Or Trump was being nice because he knew that if he was nice to Bill Maher would come back on TV and praise him. Because he loved nothing more than for a person to praise him, especially on TV. So who knows, maybe it's a combination. But as I was telling my best friend, if someone is really nice to you in a personal setting, in a private setting, but publicly they're the opposite of that, and there's someone in power, they're a president, are you still going to like that person? You know, like my example was, this person is real nice to you. Publicly, this person toppled the economy, recession, even a depression, whatever. But he's nice to you privately. Are you still going to like that person, that president? I'm not. But, you know, everybody has their own opinion. So go ahead, man. Let me know what you think.
Thank you. He's the former White House chief strategist under President Trump, who now hosts the podcast War Room, Steve Bannon.
Now this guy is old school racist right here. I mean, unfiltered.
Okay. Well, Steve, you got on the end of my standing ovation, so let's pretend they get it for you.
Yeah. I would not be doing my job if they gave me a standing ovation.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about that. But first, I want to know if you're okay personally. I know you were just in prison. How was it? Did you meet any nice guys?
Since this show will play in Danbury on Saturday night on CNN, I want to say hi to all the men in Danbury. There's a lot of good men there. Prison's very tough, very dangerous, but I had a amazing experience there.
Really?
Yeah.
And is it a tough one? I know we hear a lot about the Aryan Brotherhood. Were they in there? And did they give you extra food?
Yeah, they must have loved him.
Medium prisons is where prison politics is. It blows. There's no prison politics. Oh, there's obviously separation, and people have what they call cars. So Danbury, you're in the New York
car. Wow, he really was in prison.
The Dominican car, the Puerto Rican car, the Mexican car. Can you stay with your own, except the times you're in the yard and working out, or like I was a teacher over in the education department. I taught civics, having been there for insurrection.
I'm going to suggest a policy. I've never heard this, but how about this? No politicians in prison. But I think
they're coming after Trump.
I think once you go to the you guys started it with lock her up, okay?
Yeah, come on.
Once you
come on.
Just get it out. You go to
one good night at the White House shouldn't make you soft, Bill.
Oh, hello.
You're the one who just got out of prison. But you were there because you refused to testify to the January 6th committee, which was led by that fiery liberal Liz Cheney.
By the way,
here it is, the Constitution. Can I read a passage to you?
Sarcastically.
Amendment 22, no person shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice. And yet you keep talking about Trump's maybe you should have this. Here,
President Trump is going to run for a third term, and President Trump is going to be elected again on the afternoon of January 20th of 2029. He's going to be president of the United States.
Okay, but the thing I just read in there, it seemed like there was no wriggle room there. It seemed like it was just, 8 or 10 words.
Well, I read somewhere that during wartime, president can be there for as long as possible, as long as the war is going on. It happened with one president, I think it was Roosevelt, or Truman. So it could happen if Trump puts us in a war. No, I'm really hoping he doesn't.
But to sue President Trump, all because the interpretation of this. The interpretation of this is open for interpretation.
How could it be open? Could I have it back? By the way, I did say to him at one point that, it actually works out better that you lost the 2020 election because...
100%.
Well, because...
Oh, it was a comeback.
What?
The 2020 election was stolen.
Oh, Lord, here we go.
A movie has 3 acts. A hero rises, but then to get to the 3rd act, you have to go down in the middle. You have to be the point where, sad. We're down at our lowest point. He got that right away. He understood that. You don't seem to understand.
No. You're pitching me that Trump's on the hero's journey. That's what you're saying? Bill Maher is saying that Trump's on the hero's journey.
I'm saying that's what a super movie does, and I don't watch any of them. I'm just saying...
Super movie.
Also, you say Musk is a parasitic illegal immigrant. He wants to impose his freak experiments on the country. Wow. Sounds like you're trying to make up your mind about the guy, but...
And all of a sudden, they want to be MAGA. I don't trust them. I don't believe in them. They're totally self-centered, and they're a product of the apartheid state that was created by progressive Democrats.
Some of what he's saying is true, but I think Elon flipped to MAGA because China was coming up with their own electric vehicle. It was way cheaper than a Tesla and way better. Well, he's like, man, I need Trump on my team to implement these tariffs, so I got to kiss a little MAGA ass.
President Trump and I disagree on policy. People should. You saw.
Name another one he's wrong. What else is he wrong about? Tariffs?
I didn't say wrong. I said we don't agree. Tariffs.
Is he ever wrong?
Sometimes I think that.
Oh, you're in trouble.
Got him. Got him.
Don, I'd watch this one.
And by the way,
is there any Democrat who scares you that he could be running against? Because I guess if we allow that, it could be Obama.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that'd be great. Alien versus Predator. Let's do it. President Trump already said. President Trump already said.
That's kind of a worse insult to Trump. I think.
If you want to bring President Obama.
Why Alien versus Predator?
Fastball. We're going to have to run someone like a Stephen A. Smith or someone in your kind of celebrity category. That'll be the Democratic nominee that would have the best
go to
shot
celebrity
at
route,
Trump.
man.
But I think he's unbeatable. I think he's unbeatable because the coalition that he's built, and it's only going to get bigger because he's bringing back American manufacturing jobs to working class people.
He's right about Democrats running a celebrity. That's the only way that dude could get beaten, or for the Democrats to even win at all. But as far as him saying that he's unbeatable, no. The way even he said it, the way he projected it was that people are going to suffer temporarily. But that temporarily is going to be within his 4 years as president. So by the end of that presidency, he's going to be hated even by his own team because they're going to feel that hit, man. Everything's going to be insanely expensive if the tariffs really go through. Or you know what? Even if he runs for a third, his popularity, man, is going to be in the dumps.
One of your most famous quotes.
Yes.
The real opposition is the media, and the way to deal with them is to flood the zone with shit.
Yes.
So this discussion we had, was this real or was this shit flooding?
Yeah.
I'm just asking, you say you do this, so I want to know if this was a real
Bill,
or a shit flood zone thing.
It's real time, so it's got to be real.
All right, thank you. Steve Bannon, made it out of prison. I hope I see you soon. All right, thank you very much. Time to meet our panel.
He walked away like Morgan Wallace.
Piers Morgan.
This guy, Mr. Interrupter.
By the way, that was brilliant what you said about the Trump dinner.
Oh,
because I was dying to know. We all were. I was
Yeah.
an extraordinary group of people ever assembled. Last time I interviewed him, he ended up issuing 4 statements about me of increasing ferocity. And the last one said, Piers Morgan's so dead he's now catching flies. And then about that is not the real Donald Trump. And I think you saw The real
I just
don't know.
wanted to report exactly what I saw. I did it to the best of my abilities.
People made too much of this, okay? It's not the Yalta Summit. You're not Churchill. Kid Rock is not Stalin. People out there know, all Americans know, that for him, this was a PR stunt. And in his view, you were a prop in that PR.
There you go.
Okay?
There you go. That's the truth. And you know what? I think Kid Rock brought up the fact that because he was surprised that Bill Maher had never been to the White House before, but he donated $1 million, either $1 million or $2 million to Obama, and Obama didn't even invite him to the White House, or Clinton, or any Democrat, Joe Biden, none of them. It took a conservative president. That's saying a lot.
The fact that you began your little rant with the internet, that tells me everything. You take your cues from the internet. Good luck.
No. If you listen.
You know, the internet is a cesspool that just wants to fight.
No, the internet represents the people too. It's just crazy people. A lot of them are nutcases, but they're still part of the country and they still vote.
Changed by such
I said in the piece I did not think that was going to happen.
In that case, then go with
I love the people on either side who ignore the parts they don't like and then and I just did it. It wasn't like it was 3 weeks ago. Failing New York Times.
You're even sounding like him.
Their headline.
And saying that you're going to only have a trade war with China and not the rest of the world is kind of like saying, oh, don't worry, we're not going to burn down the house. We're just going to set fire to the kitchen. And then everything's going to be okay. And it's reckless. And people know that. And real people suffer from the consequences.
That's what's going to happen.
The collateral damage that comes from jerking back and forth into we're going to have huge tariffs, then we're not going to have huge tariffs.
He throws everything against the wall. He sees how it plays out, and he starts to game it, and then he starts to work out what's popular, what's not.
Yeah.
What has he reached in 1 week? Total mayhem to start with. Markets freaking, everything collapsing, everyone going crazy. Liberals around the world going into anaphylactic shock. Fine. And I would actually back the United States to win a trade war right now with China and put China back in its box. What I didn't like was him taking on the whole of Europe and Mexico and Canada and other allies.
Yeah. I was saying before that the United States owes money to China, number one. Number two, China could overtake their manufacturing contracts to any other first world country. There's plenty of them. Now, who is the United States going to turn to for their manufacturing? I think the only options are India and Mexico, but they don't have the infrastructure that China has. So I think if you look at that, if you look at the balance, China has the upper hand. I think Trump is bluffing, and China knows it.
The problem is if you do it without thinking it through, then you undermine the actual real effort
China
to
blinks
protect us.
China blinks a bit, and what Trump does next will be fascinating.
Okay,
Look,
but let me
I'm not saying any of this is pretty.
So this is boring, like I said, tariffs are. You guys are, trade wars can become real wars, can they not?
Sure.
I mean, I'm thinking about Japan in the 30s. I mean,
Absolutely.
we took away the oil, I think.
From Japan.
Right, and it's something Pearl Harbor.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so China has been a frenemy for, I don't know, a long time now, decades, which is we had a lot of big differences, but we were tied together by the money.
Sure.
Good old
you take
money.
away the money and you take away the from frenemy.
Right.
Now they're just the...
I mean, it could work.
Yeah, but that's a hell of a risk to take on a win.
It might be.
I would not take the odds.
You know,
Yeah.
China's not the same as it was
I don't know
in
about working.
2017.
Mississippi, I read, our poorest state, is richer than France, richer than the UK, richer than Japan.
Wow.
So we're doing this sort of on a false premise. And what's there to lose? And you have a lot to lose. Your 401k, your car that you can't afford now. You have a lot to lose.
I think
A lot.
$37 trillion says it's not a straw man.
Well, here's the thing that you don't understand.
Why
that
is
President
that?
Trump doesn't understand.
Please educate me.
The trade deficit and the budget deficit. It's a very simple. I'm a failed economics student, so bear with me. But the trade deficit and the budget
And talk
deficit.
show guest.
Oh, damn.
The difference is that Biden wasn't taking them to a foreign prison.
That's the
this
difference.
Is really based on a tattoo.
Yeah.
Wow. Hey, baristas, watch out.
Yes, it's called cruel and unusual punishment.
We don't do
which is
that.
also in the Constitution.
It's why?
Does it make a little difference?
It does.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, it does.
So that's a pretty big difference.
Well, that is the problem with this one, yeah.
But I don't think you can throw people out of this country or disappear them for beliefs.
Well, you can.
That's free speech.
It's more complicated. It's more a green. Well, hang on. Let me just give my view, and you can.
The First Amendment applies to everyone.
You can educate me when I finish.
I will.
So
Well, here's what I would say, and I would just, at this point, quote your late great friend Christopher Hitchens.
Yeah.
Who famously wrote
Rest in
that
peace.
Every single time that you violate or propose to violate the free speech rights of anyone, you're making a rod for your own back.
Terrorist
But
organization.
that's an allegation that he would dispute.
He was handing out pro-Hamas literature.
No, he was handing out pro-Palestinian literature.
No, actually,
Yeah.
it was pro-Hamas.
And by the way, Bill, Gazans are not refugees. They live there. That's their home. That's why people aren't taking them in.
Yeah.
They're not refugees. And if we make them into refugees, then we're committing an offense on them.
But if I was a young student at Columbia, they're on a green card, British, come in, happy to be here, do all my paperwork, get to Columbia, and I start leading a group which is a bunch of white supremacists, and we start terrorizing black students in the way that they were terrorizing.
Oh, you'll be gone in a day.
Hang on. Because if that had been, honestly,
Correct.
white supremacists treating black students like that, they would be out the country in
so
10
true.
minutes.
Yeah, I got to get with that.
I support the destruction of Western civilization. Now give me a green card to come and live in America. Fuck off.
All right, I have to end it there. Time for new rules.
New rule.
New rule. Someone has to tell Jessica Simpson, who just revealed that.
My God.
Get back to me when you're drinking straight out of the snake. I don't think these songs are in any danger of disappearing. I heard them all last night while buying my $12 eggs at Ralph's. What kind of problems do you have that 6 tigers couldn't fix? Who's been getting Botox injections in his penis?
My God.
There's a simpler way to remove dick wrinkles.
An erection.
Just rub it. And new rule, since this is going to be a turbulent year for stocks, let's make a concerned guise of the stock exchange calendar. Perfect for waking up every day and saying, well, at least my life isn't as fucked as that guy. All right, that's our show. I want to thank Josh Rogin, Piers Morgan, and Steve Bannon. Club Random drops every Sunday on YouTube or listen wherever you get your podcast. Now go watch Overtime on YouTube. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. You were terrific.
So he didn't do his last segment because I guess he did it at the beginning with the whole Trump dinner thing. But all right, man. Good show. Let me know what you think, and I'll catch you on the next one.